OCO, and welcome to the Cherokee Phoenix Breakdown. I am Tyler Thomas, the executive editor of the Cherokee Phoenix, and I'm honored to be joined today by Cherokee Heritage Center lead genealogist Gene Norris and Cherokee Nation Deputy Registrar Derrick Vann. As we celebrate National Family History Month, it is an honor to have these two individuals to join me to discuss the process of researching Cherokee genealogy and how genealogical research can be used in the citizenship application process. Mr. Norris and Mr. Vann, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you.
Glad to be here.
Me too.
All right. Researching one's family genealogy can be a tedious process. Mr. Norris, is researching Cherokee genealogy as a challenging process as researching non-native genealogy?
Yeah, it can be. It depends on what a person's knowledge is of their own family, what they may know or may not know. But when you do any genealogy, no matter what it is, you always start with yourself and work your way back to parents and grandparents. You never want to start at the back and come forward because it gets too confusing. Because you know more about yourself than you do anybody else, I would hope.
Mr. Vann, for a citizen starting their research, the 8x10 that lists their direct connection to a citizen who is on the DAWS roll can be very useful. How does a citizen obtain that document?
Well, if they are a registered Cherokee Nation citizen already, it's rather easy. They will have to submit a release of authorization of release form, and you can get that by going to our website, cherokee.org, by clicking the link that says register as a citizen. That'll take you to the tribal registration page, and then you want to click on downloadable forms. And it'll be the very first form, the very top form. It'll say authorization of release of information. You fill that form out, submit it, either email, fax machine, or bring it in person, and you'll have to submit that form with a copy of your photo ID or driver's license, and then we can get that to you.
Okay. Mr. Norris, what would be the next steps you would recommend after they obtain that 8x10?
It was really good to have that if you do have an 8x10, because that tells, like Derrick was saying, all your original enrollees. It gives their roll number. Once you have into various places to locate an index to the DAWS final roll and get what's called the family census card or family card number, where it's like an index to the actual DAWS testimony or DAWS packet that tells you more information.
Okay. What are some of the best tools you'd recommend for someone tracking down their ancestry?
Well, since the DAWS final roll, which is the base roll for the Cherokee Nation, is a public document, I mean, there are a lot of websites out there where you can search for an index. What I use the most is the Oklahoma Historical Society's DAWS index, which is available online. It's free. And so once you get that roll number, you can search in the index by roll number to come up with that family census or card number.
Okay. Once a person gets their genealogy report completed, what kind of information can they learn from completing that ancestry?
Well, you'll learn more about your ancestors, your relatives. A lot of times with you do get the DAWS testimony, there's birth record in there. A birth affidavit is what they refer to it as. A death affidavit if they died during the DAWS process. A copy of a marriage license if they have a marriage license. So there's a lot of good stuff in there when you find it.
Okay. And in your experience at the Cherokee Heritage Center, what have been some of the more interesting stories about people researching their ancestry that you can remember?
Well, there's a lot of stories, and we hear a lot of stories, as I'm sure Derrick can attest to, on a daily basis.
Yeah.
One that I think of right offhand was a DAWS packet that had a huge amount of paperwork in it. And in it was a court testimony. Apparently, a family had a falling out with one of the brothers, within the brothers and sisters, and he had left the state, had gone. And they hadn't heard from him in years, so they gave up on him. But he had an allotment, and so they were going to court to try to deem themselves as his heirs to sell the allotment. Well, he apparently had a mutual friend in the Cherokee Nation. He got in contact, and he showed up. He was still alive. He'd been in Texas in a Wild West show, traveling from town to town, and that's why they had not heard from him. But when he got word about this issue with the land allotment with the DAWS Association, he immediately came back to town. So he burst open the court doors and said, "Guess what? I'm not dead." Hello. But that's in that court testimony, in that DAWS packet, which is really cool.
Derrick, how about you? What kind of interesting stories have you experienced during your time in the registration department?
Oh, I've heard just about anything you can think of. I've heard of, Cherokee princesses and, what have you. And we just do the research. They submit the application, and then that's all we can do is just do the research.
Yeah.
We don't say anything about it. We just go off of what they supply us.
Okay. Mr. Norris, in addition to Cherokee Nation citizens researching their ancestry, how often do you have non-natives coming in trying to make that connection to Cherokee ancestry?
Quite often. In fact, most of our clientele, when we do research requests on their behalf, that is usually the situation is they may have a story or something that's been passed down through the family, but there's not a paper trail to back it up with. So our successes are somewhat limited in that aspect.
Okay.
We get lucky every once in a while, though.
Yeah. Is there a research fee or anything they have to supply to use your services at the Heritage Center?
Currently, yes. There's two of us staff persons, myself and Charlotte Nofire, she's the associate genealogist. We do the fee-based research service, and currently the charge is $50 for us to for them to hire us for an hour of research. And then if it's extended, then we will contact them if it goes into an hourly rate for that amount. But we don't do that until we get the basic search done first. Because usually I've been doing this a long time. I can tell from the first hour,
Yeah.
or less.
Mr. Vann, if a non-Cherokee Nation citizen finds some direct connection to Cherokee ancestors and has the supporting documentation, what's the process to attain that citizenship through the Cherokee Nation?
Well, the first step would be to fill out a CDIB application. And you can get that off of our website again at cherokee.org by clicking the link that says register as a citizen under downloadable forms. It says right there, certificate degree of Indian blood packet. And that's the one you will need to fill out to obtain citizenship through the Cherokee Nation.
Okay. And what are you looking for that citizens or non-citizens, I guess, should be aware of whenever they're thinking about submitting those applications?
The supporting documents will be birth certificates. They have to be state certified. We do not accept county or state or city birth certificates. They have to be state certified, and death certificates have to be state certified, and all supporting documents, whether that be anything you found off Ancestry or anything, just apply everything that you found in to help support your case to, can make that connection in your lineage to the enrollee.
Okay. Mr. Norris, is there anything more you'd like to offer or advice you would like to offer to anyone who's looking to get into genealogy?
For genealogy in general, I think it's a very rewarding hobby for some folks. For some folks, a career and a hobby, like myself, because you find out a lot about, if you can find information, you find a lot about your family. The other thing is that, of course, our mission here at the Heritage Center is to preserve, promote, and teach Cherokee history and culture. And I think once a person knows the history of the Cherokee people and knows what different documents that were done, like the Dawes Final Roll, what the Dawes Final Roll was all about, what it represented, then they have a better idea, I think. Because, we get it called, I mentioned, I think we get it called the scroll, the Dawes roll, like, a doll, baby doll, Dawes roll. And so a lot of people don't know what that Dawes roll is about and what it was all, what it meant and what the repercussions of it were in association with the Cherokee people and the other 4 tribes, the other 5 tribes.
Mr. Vann, anything more you'd like to add or include in the registration process?
I don't. Anything that you would need, request form, change of address, anything like that, please refer to our website, cherokee.org, by clicking the link, register as a citizen. That'll take you to the tribal registration page under downloadable forms. There's every form you can think of to change your address, to apply, and everything to release information.
Is there a fee or anything that goes along with that process?
No, sir. Everything that Cherokee Nation offers under registration is free, but we do not purchase birth certificates.
Yeah. Are citizens or non-citizens able to access the Dawes roll inside y'all's office?
We do have a Dawes list, yes.
Okay. All right. Mr. Norris and Mr. Vann, thank you for joining me today and discussing the process of researching Cherokee genealogy and if non-tribal citizens can utilize that genealogy to attain Cherokee Nation citizenship. I also want to thank our audience for watching this episode of the Cherokee Phoenix Breakdown, and be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to catch our next episode. Before we end our broadcast, I just want to remind everyone that during the month of October, the Cherokee Phoenix is hosting a subscription drive, and if you purchase a $15 annual subscription to the newspaper, you'll be entered into a drawing for a free Cherokee Ancestry Genealogical Report. That's a $200 value. Cherokee Nation citizens that are at large, veterans, or elders can get a free subscription and also be entered into the drawing. For more information or to subscribe, call 918-207-4975. What up? Thank you, Derrick. Thank you, Gene.
Thank you too.
Thank you, Tyler.